Hey guys, this is Marina, and today I'm going to talk about the full moon that we have on the 6th of June around 9 a.m. in the morning. And the full moon is in Sagittarius and Gemini. As usual, here you can find the chart of the horoscope of the full moon. Here are the planet positions with the exact degree and sign, and here are the aspects between the planets. So, the full moon, this is the time when the sun and the moon are in opposition. And in some way, it can represent some kind of conflict, but this conflict can allow us to see something, to realize something, to be able to see through the surface and to see the deep meaning of something, to understand that. Also, the full moon can represent some kind of culmination in certain activity, in certain area of our life. So it can be something that we have worked for some time already, and now we are able to manifest, to see the visible side of this, to see some kind of results. So what's important is that the full moon, it activates one axis. So basically these are two signs which are in opposition, in this case Gemini and Sagittarius. But what's important is that actually each axis, so each signs which are opposing to each other, actually they have something in common. In some way this is like the two sides of the coin. So if we are able to understand the meaning, we know what to focus on, and it's just two different ways to look on something similar. And about this axis, let's say a few words about the axis Gemini and Sagittarius. What's common is that it's the axis related with education, related with our way of thinking, with traveling, with information, with knowledge, with philosophy. So these are some basic sides of this axis. Of course, there are some differences because both of the signs look on the same topic from a different perspective. And for example, Gemini, where we have the sun, is a sign related with focusing on something small, so being present and focus on things that are happening right now for us. It's about being rational, being analytical, and believing in things that we can actually see, measure, that are logical, that can be explained. On the other hand, Sagittarius, it also represents a way of thinking, but this way of thinking is much more philosophical. It's not like, you need concrete evidences in order to believe in something. Or also it's a sign related with our long-term perspective for the future. So Gemini is the present and Sagittarius is the future. And also, this sign is related with our goals, so what we would like to achieve, what's our vision for the future. In some way, these are also our dreams and things that we expect from the future and would like to manifest in the future. And of course, it's education, as we said, but a little bit more philosophical. And in terms of traveling, Gemini is traveling to short places, something near to us, and Sagittarius is traveling to distant places where we are able to explore different cultures and to learn from that. So all of these topics can be really important for us during the next 2 weeks. You can achieve some kind of material result in areas related with education, with traveling, or with setting your goals actually. And the difference is that the sun represents more something that we are conscious and aware of. But on the other hand, the moon represents area that we are influenced by our unconscious mind, and now we can realize that. So actually this is a time when you can also realize what you need to change about your expectations for the future. If something hasn't worked for you, or maybe you need some kind of change in this area, and setting some kind of new goals. So you can be really present right now. You can be focused on some small things, on, you know, some more routine stuff. But the opposition, the full moon, actually, the moon in Sagittarius, can help us also to realize what's our direction taking us to, and actually what we would like to achieve. So these are the basic topics for all of us: education, knowledge, philosophy, realizing also what you believe in, what's important for you, and even making some kind of change, because, you know, well, things change over time very often. And also we can analyze the aspects from the other planets, because they also represent you know, how smooth these processes can happen. And as usual, here we can find the aspects. Of course, we have this opposition between the sun and the moon. Next we have Venus making this is a semi-square with the sun, and this is 135 degrees, so a square and a half aspect with the moon. And these are minor aspects, so their influence is not so strong, their influence is not all of the time, but sometimes it's a little bit stressful and unexpected, and for a short time. And it suggests that when we have Venus making these minor challenging aspects, it suggests that we can be really emotional about all of these topics, and in some way, you know, we can feel a little bit frustrated. For example, we may used to have some kind of goals, for example, and something might not work well for us, and now we need to make some kind of change. And emotionally, it can be related with, you know, some kind of stress. Of course, when we talk about Venus, it's not something, you know, really negative, really difficult. It's just more a matter of how we experience that on an emotional level. Next we have Jupiter. So Jupiter makes trine with the sun. Here the software doesn't show the sextile with the moon because it's a little bit over 5 degrees orbis, and usually the orbis is up to 5 degrees, but I would say that in this case we also have a sextile between Jupiter and the moon. Also Jupiter is stationary, we are going to talk about that, and it increases the strength of the planet, so we definitely have this aspect. And that's a very positive indication. So Jupiter is supporting the full moon. So it suggests that all of these contradictions, or some kind of inner conflicts, or, you know, some challenges that we need to overcome, all of them can have a very positive influence for us. So the final result can be really positive. And we are capable to achieve some kind of growth, you know, whatever it is that now you can achieve as a final result, actually it can continue to grow in the future. And in terms of our philosophical way of thinking and education and information, Jupiter actually supports that very, very much. And Jupiter is also important because it's basically the ruler of the moon. The moon is in Sagittarius, so Jupiter making these aspects actually, you know, allows us to be able to achieve some kind of success from all of these, you know, inner conflicts, or, you know, some kind of the balance that we need to achieve. And the other ruler actually is Mercury, the ruler of the sun. Mercury is also in a good position because it's in its own sign, in Gemini. So we can see that actually the rulers of the signs that we have, the full moon, are in a very good positions. One of them is in its own sign, and the other makes positive aspects. So that's a very supportive energy. And again, for everything related with education, with traveling, with setting some kind of goals, this is a great time. But these goals can be more something that you are changing. So it's not, putting the beginning of something totally new, but more revisioning of your previous goals, or making some kind of changes. Then we have one really important aspect. This is Saturn, which makes conjunction with the moon and opposition with the sun. And here we can find this aspect. And this is a little bit more challenging. As we know, Saturn is the planet of some kind of difficulties, some kind of restrictions. It's the planet that tests us. And it requires a lot of hard work, some extra efforts, a lot of patience. So whatever it is that we are changing right now, it will require more time. So it won't happen overnight. It won't be immediately or even as soon as we are planning. But on the other hand, Saturn can help us to achieve something stable and lasting in the future. So these goals right now that we can change, we can follow them for a long time. There will be something like a leading direction for us for a very long time. And what's important is that actually we need to become more realistic about our expectations for the future. Of course, when we talk about Saturn, there is always the risk for, some kind of disappointment, some kind of difficulties, some kind of boundaries that we face with. But the idea here is to realize what's possible for us and what's not so possible for now. And to change that, to change our goals, to change our worldview, to become a little bit more serious about stuff. Okay, and next we have Neptune. So Neptune also makes challenging aspects. It makes square with the sun and the moon at the same time. So basically this is a tau square with Neptune in the apex. And this is a challenging position because Neptune is the planet of illusions. Neptune is the planet of some kind of unrealistic expectations. This is a planet of dreams, what really inspires us. But in this case, when we have these challenging aspects, it suggests that probably we might have been in some kind of illusions, or if we have been in some kind of illusions, now we need to face with the truth, which is Saturn, which is Sagittarius. And this can be disappointing, definitely. This can be disappointing and painful in some way. But you see, the positive here is that we are able to set free from that. So even if it hurts, if it's not easy, it can help us to get in touch with reality, with Saturn. And in this way, we can set some goals which are much more realistic, much more practical and rational. And we should try to, set free a little bit from and stay aside from all of these illusions, some, dreams. And also this aspect tells us that we should focus more on the hard work instead of just dreaming. So if we want to achieve something visible, if we want to have a material result, which is Saturn, in order to achieve that, we need to stop dreaming and start taking some actions. Of course, it requires, as we said, patience, time, and some hard work. But the reward is, that we are able to have something visible, something which can help us to feel more successful and even happier. Okay, so finally we have the last aspect is Pluto. So Pluto makes quincunx with the sun. So this is a 150 degrees aspect. and a semi-sextile. This is a 30-degree aspect with the moon. And these aspects are again minor aspects, so their influence is not so visible, but in some way we can feel that. And of course, Pluto is the planet of transformation. So we need to transform something in this. It's either if you are, for example, too focused on the present, too focused on, only on your daily life, you live day by day. Now you need to transform that and to start thinking more about the future. And the opposite, for example, if you're only dreaming and expecting something, waiting for something that will happen someday, then probably you should start to think about your the current day, so what you are going to do today in order to achieve your future goals. So some kind of transformations can happen thanks to this aspect. Okay, so what else do we have? And yeah, Jupiter, just to say a few words. So Jupiter actually is stationary, and I think a few hours after the exact full moon, Jupiter will start to move direct. So it increases very much and intensifies the energy of the planet of Jupiter. And of course, when we talk about Jupiter, it's about growth, it's about new opportunities, it's about visioning the future. And all of these things can become, expressed on a material level when the planet is moving direct. So that's a very, very important aspect, very important position and supportive, especially because it rules the sign of the moon, and it makes these positive aspects with both the sun and the moon. So we are really, really supported. All we have to do is actually, if I have to say it with one sentence, I would say we need to set free from our illusions. We need to stop dreaming and instead start to work, focus more on the material things, on the, starting to work for what we want to achieve. And now we can say a few words about each of the signs, so you would know exactly in which area you need to change something, and what it will influence, how it will influence your horoscope. Of course, we start with Aries, and for Aries, the full moon is in their 9th and 10th house. So this is really about changing something about your future expectations, about your goals, or something related with your higher education or with your philosophy. That's really the most important. Then we have Taurus, and for Taurus, for Taurus, the full moon falls in their 8th and 2nd house. So basically, this is about finances, and Taurus may need to change, for example, something related to, with credits or with some kind of insurances, some kind of, your plans about related with investments, something like that can be extremely important, or finances coming from other people, including your partner. Making some kind of change in this area is beneficial right now. Then we have Gemini. So actually for Gemini, of course, the full moon is really important because it falls in their 7th and 1st house. So this is about making some kind of change related with your relationships, with your closest relationships. It's either, setting free from some kind of unhealthy relationship, or changing some kind of pattern in terms of relationships, or making your plans that you're making changing your plans that you have made together with your partner. But generally the changes are in the area of relationships. Then we have Cancer, and for Cancer, the full moon is in their 6th and 12th house. So Cancer need to change something in their career plans. So it can either be, your daily plans, the routine processes that you have, or something related with your obligations. You may need to pay some attention on your health as well. And yeah, well, there can also be some kind of, you know, material result in the area of your work. Then we have Leo, and for Leo, the full moon is in their 5th and 11th house. So for Leo, this full moon can bring some kind of changes in their romantic life. So you may either, for example, fall in love with someone, or reveal your feelings in front of someone, or something related with creative projects. If you have such, this is a time when you can achieve some kind of material results. So focusing on some kind of creative projects, on some kind of art also, or even some kind of entertainment. So what's bringing you joy, you know, you may really focus on that during the next 2 weeks. Then we have Virgo, and for Virgo, the full moon falls in their 4th and 10th house. And this is mostly related with change in your home, change in your environment or family, or something related with property issues. You may also achieve some kind of result in this area. For example, if you have planned to make some kind of change at your home or something like that, now this change can be visible, this change can become material. Then we have Libra, and for Libra, the full moon falls in their 3rd and 9th house. So this is a time when you can focus more on the present. So something which will help you, like, you know, the small details that you need to pay attention on, the small steps. So planning things, but planning, you know, the little steps that you have to accomplish in order to achieve your goals. Being present, learning something as well, or even traveling, and yeah, you can achieve some kind of result in this area. Then we have Scorpio, and for Scorpio, the full moon is in their 2nd and 8th house. So it activates the axis related with finances. So this topic will be extremely important for you, and you can achieve some kind of, you know, financial results. And these financial results are mostly related with some kind of personal efforts, personal projects, personal activities. Then we have Sagittarius, and for Sagittarius, the full moon is in their 1st and 7th house. So this is extremely important for yourself, for your whole life, your activities, all kind of projects really. And you can change yourself, you can change in some way your behavior, your personal plans, what you would like to do, and how you do it exactly. So this is, with one word, personal change for you. And then we have Capricorn. For Capricorn, the full moon is in their 12th and 6th house. And this is a time, for example, when you can focus on some kind of spiritual activities, or more in some way taking a rest, stepping a little bit aside from the social activities, from your work or obligations, and instead, you know, spending some time alone, or practicing some kind of, you know, spiritual activities. And then we have Aquarius. For Aquarius, the full moon is in the 11th and 5th house. So this is a time when you can achieve some kind of material results related with your social project. So 11th house is about our, you know, environment, the people that we are surrounded with. So you can achieve something that you have to, for example, do, you have started together with some kind of community or some kind of group. So some kind of social projects, they can be material, they can be successful, and there can be some kind of results in this area. And of course, friendships can be extremely important for you. For example, you can realize something, you can change something in this area, and you may realize some kind of truth about your friends, or, you know, the people that you are communicating And finally, we have Pisces. For Pisces, the full moon is in their 10th and 4th house. So it suggests that they can change something in their career. So Pisces can change something about their social goals, and especially about career. So if you have worked for a long time in certain area, now the results can become visible, or you can change something about your plans in this area. So I want to thank everybody for listening to this video. Just to remind you that if you become a member of Mars Stars Club, you're going to receive all kinds of videos and forecasts before others, and I will send them directly to your email. So if you're still not a member of Mars Stars, I will put a link so you can sign up, of course, if you want to. And if you have some kind of comments or questions, you can leave them below and I will be happy to answer. Thank you very much again, and see you soon.